Hi again, Blue Jacket fans. Welcome to Jackets TV presented by Ohio Health. Well, time to break down the National Hockey League's conference semifinals. And let's start in the East with an entertaining series, to be sure, between the Ottawa Senators and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm Jeff Rimer along with Bob McElligott. And Bob, right off the top here, there's a little animosity between the two teams based on a serious injury suffered by Karlsson, tore his Achilles, and certainly a big story late in the season, his early return from that serious injury.
Well, that's a huge return for the Ottawa Senators to get him back into the lineup and have him doing the things that he was doing before he got injured. You talk about the animosity. The animosity comes from the fact that the Senators feel that Matt Cook deliberately hurt Karlsson in the game that they played earlier in the year, deliberately knocked him out. Their owner, Eugene Melnick, made a big deal over it, had his own CSI investigation going on to
still
see if
ongoing.
it was still ongoing. It's not wrapped up, which means it's probably not true. But anyway, the fact of the matter is there's a lot of subplots to this series between these two. They played late in the regular season. They do not like each other, and the Ottawa Senators should be ready for that because they just came off a series where they played a very rough one against the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, to me, in my opinion, goaltending is going to ultimately decide this series. Anderson has had an outstanding couple of seasons in Ottawa. Of course, he was injured for part of the season. Some people feel had he been healthy all season long, he would have been there along with Bobrovsky in the Vezina Trophy finalist race. But for me, Pittsburgh, on the other hand, their goaltending somewhat questionable. Marc-Andre Fleury supposed to be the guy. He has been a disappointment for the second playoff season. Is Thomas Vokoun good enough to give Pittsburgh the advantage here in the upcoming series based on what we saw in barely getting by the New York Islanders?
Well, I don't think that he is, to be honest with you. And if Dan Bylsma goes with Thomas Vokoun to start this series, it really won't be a shock because he got 2 wins against the New York Islanders. But the fact of the matter is this: Marc-Andre Fleury is going to play a role at some point, whether it be in this series or whether it be further on should the Penguins advance past this. You look at Pittsburgh, all the moves they made during the regular season to bring in the Iginlas and to bring in Brendan Morrows and Douglas Murrays. They've got some big-name players. It's an all-star group. But you go back to last summer when they traded a 7th-round pick to the Washington Capitals to get the rights to Thomas Vokoun, signed him to a 2-year deal. This is why they did it. They knew that Marc-Andre Fleury had problems the last couple of years in the playoffs. They got a backup. They got an insurance plan. They're putting that plan into place. Is he good enough to win the Cup? I don't know if he's good enough to do that, but he is good enough to hold down the fort until Marc-Andre Fleury is ready to go again at full strength.
I tell you what, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. In my opinion, Ray Shero is the best general manager in the National Hockey League. You talk about some of the moves. Getting James Neal from Dallas, I still shake my head over. I think on paper, Pittsburgh with Malkin, Neal, guy by the name of, what's his name, Crosby?
Yeah.
Those players, to me, are good enough to beat Ottawa in a very, very short series. But then we get back to that goaltending I talked about earlier, and I really believe Ottawa has a decided edge in that regard.
Well, Craig Anderson played against the Penguins 3 times during the regular season. The Penguins beat him all 3 times, and they did that once in a shootout. So they do have confidence against Craig Anderson. Here's the fact with the Ottawa Senators. They will take a lot of shots. There's no question about that. They're going to take a ton of them, but they also give up a lot of shots too. And this Penguins team is going to be firing from everywhere. Here's what's going to make the difference in this series. If the Penguins decide that they want to play run and gun hockey or if they want to play playoff hockey. If they want to play run and gun, then as Brooks Orpik said at the end of the Islanders series, it's a 50-50 proposition as to whether or not you're going to win. If they decide to go back to playing playoff hockey, managing the puck, taking care of it, they're going to win this series, and I think they're going to do it in 6 games. And this is the New York Islanders were very fast. The Senators have some speed, but this is going to be more of a physical series. Pittsburgh, the way they beefed up in the trades that they made by the end of the regular season, I think they beefed up to play in a series like this.
One other note, certainly a big boost to the Ottawa lineup will be if, in fact, their number 1 center, Jason Spezza, can return from a back injury and actually back surgery. If he comes back, it's going to be an awfully interesting series and certainly will be a big boost to Ottawa, although head coach Paul McLean says unless he's 100% and up to speed, he will not play in this series, despite the fact that he is, in fact, back skating. I will say right here, this is going to be a great series. It's going to go 7 games. Boy, Pittsburgh will win in 7.
No, I say they win in 6. And again, I think the Penguins, the last couple of years getting knocked out in the first round, you can see the first round jitters they had against the Islanders. I think this is a team that is now set to roll. If they take the confidence they should have after beating the Islanders, I think this is the beginning of them moving on. This sets up perfectly for them. They get the 7 seed. They don't have to play a tougher team, not to discount Ottawa. They're a very good team, but they're playing the 7 seed. Pittsburgh is in line to go to the conference final. We'll see what they do.
Ottawa's a 7th seed indeed, but if Anderson was healthier down the stretch, I think Ottawa would have been a much, much higher seed in the National Hockey League's Eastern Conference. Yes, the conference the Blue Jackets will join next year. Well, that's our look at the Ottawa-Pittsburgh matchup. We'll be back and take a look at the other Eastern Conference semifinal. And, of course, that features 2 original 6 teams, the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. For Bob McElligott, I'm Jeff Rimer. Thanks for joining us on Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.